Hey guys, welcome to Fishing with Gary today. Yes, we're back up at Bartlett Lake, but we're just going to talk and film a little bit about crankbaits. Winter tactics on crankbaits. Which ones work? Okay, so some of the crankbaits that I like to use in the wintertime when the water gets cold. This morning the water's 56 degrees, so it's dropped significantly. So you need to try to use a bait that has a real tight wobble like this. So if it's a big fat crankbait like this, it's going to have this big wobble. If it's a skinny crankbait like these are the SR7s. I know I was talking about the SR5s, but the fish have gone a little bit deeper now. So because of the cold water, they're actually going down in the water column now. So we're off in just a cove right now. I picked this nice rocky bank that you can see down through here is because the sun is shining on those rocks and it heats that water up a lot faster in the afternoons and stuff. That's why. So this is the XR7. These are a couple of the XR7s right here. And these are the ones I've been using. I do use some of my crankbaits I do use in a crawdad pattern. I've got one favorite here that I like using, and it's a jointed crawdad in Rapala, and I like using that too, especially if in the afternoons if they come up and they start eating crawdads up on the bank. So let's kind of get started. We'll talk a little bit while we're filming. So the first thing is we're going to do is we're just going to kind of parallel this just a little bit. So I'm going to get up a little bit closer. And if you make a long cast and you have a deep bank like this, a 90-degree bank, I start out with my rod just going down in the water column, you know, going way down, trying to get that thing to drop down deeper. So if you're on a flat or you've made a bad cast or something and it's real shallow, one good thing you need to do is hold your rod up like this, and that'll keep that bait up in the water column. But right now up here at the lake, those fish are dropping down further down because the water is cooling down. Another thing too is we've had some really good rains up here and the water is rising about 6 inches a day. So every other day it comes up a foot. So with that, you know, you have to decide, well, where are those fish? You know, I can go out and I'm up here quite a bit, so I know where they're moving and stuff. But there's days that I come up here and I can't figure it out either. This wintertime fishing is very humble. I mean, it humbles the best anglers in Arizona. So, including me. There's days you can come out here and just slaughter them and have a real good day, and there's days you can come out here and it's terrible, you know. So we picked a day that you would not think the bass would bite. We had a full moon last night, and on a day like today, they just fed at night and they don't want to feed too much during the day. But with my theory, they got to eat. So I'm going to just keep throwing these and trying to hit certain areas along these walls here. Anything that sticks out just a little bit more, like a corner right there, I'll just cast right over there and come close to that. So let me turn this boat so you get a better view. And we'll just work along together and pick out different areas. So sometimes I like to use an example like where it's a little bit sandy and not a lot of rock, and then it meets this real thick rock. So let's pick this apart. I'll cast it in 1 foot of water, 2 foot of water, and we'll bring it by these rocks here just to see if anybody will hit it. And especially, I'm going to try to hit this crankbait on the bottom. This is an XR7 made by Rapala, and of course it's a very steep bank, so it's going to drop off real fast. I'm sitting in 14, 15 feet of water, and I'm only 12 feet from the bank, 12, 15 feet. So with that, I can throw this real close to the bank and try to get a reaction bite. Sometimes I just make real short casts if I want to try to bring it in and try to hit these rocks. If I can hit the bottom or a rock or a little stick sticking up and get a little bit of a reaction out of it, out of that crankbait, I can get that bass to bite. So as we go down this shoreline, this whole wall is nothing but rock. There's a couple little sticks sticking up, but not many. So my idea is to kind of make a long cast. The longer you make, the more that crankbait comes down and the more that crankbait is in front of their eyes. I mean, I'm looking at fish that are out here in 12, 14 feet, but they're right on the bottom, you know. So this little crankbait I got here is not going to go that deep. It might go 10 feet, but I'm using 10-pound test. So this one's going to go down just a little bit more. So I'm going to make a very long cast way out there and to get my crankbait down to the water like this. And let's make a few casts and see what we can get. So I just been using a nice slow retrieve like this. I'm not burning it. Now I just I'm bumping the bottom there. Uh-oh, nope. Felt like I had a bite, but I know I must have had one on. But anyway, I hit a tree limb or something out there. And I got something to tap it. So let's keep trying it. Sometimes when you catch one or you get a bite, I don't know how they come off these treble hooks, but they do. So sometimes if you get a bite, stay in that same area and try cast after cast. You never know. Usually those fish will be together. You'll be able to get a couple of them. So I keep varying my distance off the bank. One time I'll throw right on the bank. One time 2 feet off the bank. Another time 3 feet off the bank. Sometimes I crank it hard like this and then I stop, okay? So mix up your retrieve. I tell you, it works sometimes, you know. Sometimes they just want a nice, steady little retrieve. And that works too. But, you know, when they're cold and lethargic, remember that these bass are cold-blooded. And anytime you have a drop in water temperature, it just slows them way down to where they had to eat 3 or 4 times a day. They may only eat once a day, or they may only even eat something once every 2 days, you know. Some people say they could go 3 or 4 days, but I don't know. These bass at Bartlett, they're usually hungry. So as much as I found out. So I'm going to just hold my rod tip down and just a nice, even little cranking like this. And if you're not catching anything, step on the trolling motor. Don't be afraid to run down that bank, you know, 10 or 12 feet. I mean, I'm looking at fish on my depth finder that are down about 13, 14 feet, but this is not diving that much. So I'm going to get it down as much as I can. I'm going to hold it down to the water's edge. Hope that I strike something. I may have to pull in tight so that I can bang some rocks over there. Every once in a while, I'll cast it way up there by the bank to where I can get this thing to go down right away and hit something. So I'm just trying to get a reaction bite out of these fish if I can get one. Like I said, wintertime fishing is entirely different. There we go. This XR7 goes down about 10 feet with a 10-pound test, so sometimes I'll even jerk it like this, stop and jerk it, and that'll get a reaction bite like a jerk bait even. Oh, there's one right there. That one I got down pretty deep, and I didn't hit nothing. This is a freebie that I got. Let me get that pole over so I don't break it. You know, when they come in, this one's just coming in of like 10, 12 feet water. Well, that's a nice fish. Come on. That's a good way to start, I'll tell you. I'm not going to swing them in because I was hitting some stuff on the bottom. So that's a really good way to start, you know. SR7 Rapala, got him hooked in the cheek also. right on the top of the lip. Boy, sometimes that gets in there and you just can't. So I'm just going to hold that up like this just so you guys get a good look at that, you know. Bass Pro Shop XR7 made by Rapala.
Okay,
All right.
do it again.
This is a Rapala SR7. Well, that felt good. That was a nice 2-pounder for Bartlett Lake. So, you know, those are a bonus. And that was the first one on the crankbait. I had one bite on it, but that was my first one that I actually landed. You don't, you know, unless you can get into a school of bass or something in the back of these coves or, you know, somewhere, you don't catch a lot. You know, we just got here. We came up here just for the afternoon, just to get a couple hours of filming, just to show people about wintertime cranking with these baits. There's been days that I've had on these Rapalas, and man, I'll tell you what, we just slaughtered them. We caught 50, 60 bass on there, but that was before the water temperature dropped. So I'm just going to stay on this trolling motor just a little bit and move up here a little bit more and see what we can get. Like I said, I'm going to tell you again, I like this kind of rock that's facing the sun on this side, because when it does get cold at night, the water temperature drops and these rocks will actually warm up. So there's sometimes you can get lucky and you can get a fish as soon as it hits the water in like a foot, 2 foot of water. Ooh, good, there's a little breeze coming up, so that's a good thing when you get a little bit of breeze. Just kind of, sometimes you just have to make a lot of casts, folks. You just have to, guys, you just have to keep casting and casting and casting, but you got to have faith in this lure. I'm telling you. All of you have your favorite lures, you know, it could be a SR5 Rapala. You know, I have another, I like the other ones too, crankbaits. The flat-sided ones are good, you know, but I do like that tight wobble in the wintertime. Those Berkeley dredgers, I'll tell you, those are another good one that Bass Pro carries. That's they have a really big display of them. I use those a lot too, but right now I'm just showing you this one right here that I use a lot. But there's a lot of fish on the graph, so I'm just going to see if I can dig this down and get us another one before we have to wind this up. All right, I see a good spot. I'm gonna hurry up and get up here. When you get up here, there's a little point coming out inside the cove. It's called a secondary point. So I'm gonna position myself over that point and try to hit that corner of the point as I go over it. These are you can probably see over my right shoulder there what I'm looking at, you know, up ahead. So if I can get up far enough, cast on the other side of it, you know, I'm still a long ways from it, and bring that crankbait over and hit some of those rocks, I stand a pretty good chance of catching a fish. There's little gold mines of this. There's another one on the other side over there and another one over there. So if you're going in and you're cranking and you see stuff like that, boy, those are the ones that you definitely want to hit. You know, I'm getting close now, but I'm still not there. I'm still seeing shad and fish on the graph. So let's keep going a little bit further. Don't be afraid to knock the rocks with these crankbaits, because that's where your fish is going to come. Okay, I'm getting close enough, so I'm going to make a longest cast as I can with this little crankbait. Using a bait caster, sometimes it's hard. So I'm going to throw it out, hold my rod down. I'm going to try to hit rocks. There they are. Okay. I banged a couple there. You try another one. Get up a little bit further. Get this down. There's some rocks right there. Bang, bang. Let's do one more here. There you go, right close to the bank. So that should do it. So it's just banging the rocks right now. Boy, I'm just banging those rocks. You can see out of the corner of that left side of the screen, it's just banging. There's one right there. Just banging those rocks. If you could get them to bang the rocks, you could catch them. This one doesn't feel like a giant, but it's a fish. In the wintertime, if you could catch a fish, it's good. He's pulling like a big bunny, but I know he's not. Come on, I'm just gonna flip this in. There we go, there's a good picture, perfect. Nice little 1 pounder, just a small little Bartlett bass on a SR7 made by Rapala. My cameraman's telling me that we're about out of time, so I hope you got the gist of working these crankbaits around, you know, and hope you picked up a few more tips. Thank you for watching our videos, Greg's and my videos. Make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button. And there's a little bell there too. If you hit that, you'll get a notification when these videos come out. So once again, thanks for watching Fishing with Gary, and have a good day.